Okay, year 8. Welcome to you from the Big Apple. Mr. Ali here with computing lessons. Today, nipped across to the Big Apple of New York City and broadcasting to you from across the Atlantic because I have a very special friend here who normally, shall we say, lives there. He'll be able to discuss and enlighten you on a couple of key concepts to do with programming and with Python. Now, here's the interesting thing is today, the things we're going to learn about, we are going to move from basics and doing some pretty fundamental stuff onto using data, manipulating it, and being able to do the things with it that can enable you to have a lot of fun. You can build games, you can build a career, you can earn a lot of money manipulating data with programming languages, specifically with Python. But today we're going to start with a concept called arrays, and we will be enlightening you as to what arrays are, how they work, and specifically how they work in Python. So without any ado, I have a friend of mine like I said, I've asked to help me with this, and he's going to tell you all about what arrays are. So, over to you, my good friend.
An array is a data structure which can store a fixed size collection of elements of the same data type. An array is used to store a collection of data, but it is often more useful to think of an array as a collection of variables of the same type.
And there you go. So, arrays in Python, or in programming languages, full stop, fundamentally work the same way. An array is a group of elements altogether of the same data type, and they can be addressed and manipulated, calculated, used in programming languages. So, in a bit, I'm going to show you how they will work in C, how they work in Java, and then how we would use the same array in Python. Now, there are several data types we can use as an array. Two of those we'll use in our class and for our purposes. One's called a tuple, and it's an immutable array. So once things are in it, even if it's one thing, it stays the same always, and that's useful. That's very good. So if you have, say, share prices from historical data, you don't want those to change because they won't have. And if you're doing calculations on there, if you want to see trend lines of share prices, you don't want the share prices to change. That would be stored in a tuple. And this is a standard data array as you would understand it in other programming languages. The other that does change, and that we can do manipulations on, is something called a list. So I'll pass things over to my good friend. What, sir, is a list?
The most basic data structure in Python is the sequence. Each element in a sequence is assigned a number, and this is its position in the sequence, which is also known as its index. The first index is 0. In most programming languages, the first element of an array or list is always 0, then the second index is 1, the third index is 2, and so forth. Python has 6 built-in types of sequences, but the most common one is called a list. We will learn about lists and how to do selection and iteration on lists today.
Okay, great. Thank you, my good friend. It's nice to see you. As you can see behind me is our view over New York City from our offices. And if you can tell me what building I'm broadcasting from and who my famous friend is, there's a golden ticket in there for you. Do a bit of homework. I'm sure you can come up with that. Next, we're just going to come over here to our replet and look at our REPL and see what we have. Today, I've got a REPL with a list, and the list is a group of variables made up of a variable name of names. So, I got names, but instead of having a variable of John, I have a variable, a list of variables of John, Marie, James, Rosa, William, Rosalind, and Ada. So, boys and girls' names. Again, another challenge. If you can tell me the significance of these names, who the boys are, bit of a hint, who the girls are. The girls are famous as famous women. The boys are famous for being born in the right place to the right families. Let me know, and there's prizes for that too. So I have a list called names. It's got a list of names: John, Marie, James, Rosa, William, Rosalind, and Ada. And if we go down here, we can see that we can do some work. What we have here is our list with our list of names, and literally we're going to run our loop to say for each name, which is our new variable, in enumerate names, print each name. So we're going to enumerate the names. We're going to go through the names, assign them a number. Number indexes always begin with 0 in Python unless you tell it otherwise. And for each name in names, print each name. See what we get. And there we go. Here's our list of names and our indexes, which begin with 0, 1, 2, 3. So if our index is 3, we get Rosa. If our index is 5, we have Rosalind. If our index is 0, it's John, who is the first name in the list. Great. So if I uncomment the other bits of the code, let's see what else we get. We can have some fun with some random numbers. What we're going to do is shuffle the list so that we have a list of names. As we said before, lists are changeable. We can rearrange or add to or subtract from the data in the list. So in this case, we're going to randomly rearrange the list. So what we've got is for each name and enumerate names, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to print out the names with their indexes. Then we're going to say our random name choice is, and we're going to import the random function as R. Our rand name variable is what comes out when we randomize the choice of the list names. We're going to shuffle the names and then run through a separate for loop. So for I in the list of names, print I. And we'll see what we get. Take a moment to run, and then there we go. We have our list of names as before in the order, and then we randomize it. So now our list is William, Rosa, Ada, John, Rosalind, James, and Marie. Now, just to show how the names have been randomized, as you see here, we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, John, Marie, James, Rosa, William, Rosalind, Ada. I am going to enumerate the names list again. If I can spell it correctly. There we go. So enumerate the list of names for I in the enumerated list of names, print I. So if we run this again, we're going to see that 0 is now William, John is now 1 instead of 0, Rose is 2 instead of 3, Rosalind's 3 instead of 5. So it's actually randomized the names up. And this is possibly useful if Mr. Alley next term wants to ask for a volunteer. I've got a bit of Python code here that I can use to select a volunteer to answer a question in class at random. Oh, I feel the power. But do you see how we can operate on a list of names and do things to it? In this case, we've randomized it. Next week, I'm going to show you how to create a random list of variables. In this case, it'll be numbers. Specifically, it will be lottery numbers. And then we can add to that a 7th variable that will be the Powerball number. So, can we replicate the National Lottery in Python, in Replit, with just a few lines of code? Wait and see.
Today you have learned about loops, which is a type of iteration. Next week we will continue. Please pay close attention and join us then.